Yo, YouTube and all of our audio listeners, welcome back to another greatest pod of all. This is the episode 6
and 7
and 7, technically. We're doing a double header. Last week, life got in the way, and we just didn't get to the pod, mate. So we're gonna try to fit all 2 episodes into one, but so we'll see how we go. Before we get started, mate, how you going?
Well, good,
How's
mate.
the body after the footy season officially is over?
It's that mini depression, mate, that you get when, like, you finish playing for the year.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I wish we started finding that form we found in the middle of the year as opposed to towards the end, because then you've got a bit to go on. So, but we've still got 4 or 5 weeks of footy left. Hopefully, 4 or 5 weeks of footy left. So on the telly, and then the real depression will kick in, I think. So.
Yeah, totally. It's a bit like post-holiday depression. You're having fun while it's on, and then you come back and you got to get back to the real world. No footy training. Probably try to come down. We got invited to come train with the 17s. I'll probably just come down, have a kick, and run around once a week. But we started finding some good form towards the end, and obviously we put a big score on the scoreboard against, was it Maruka? What was it, 107-1 or something, or 4 or something like that. So we had a big win. They were struggling with players, but so good on them for turning up. But yeah, big win, and really three weeks in a row we played good footy against the top sides and then against the lower teams. So hopefully everyone comes back next year and we get to kick on from what we've learnt this year, the connectedness we've learnt and the gameplay we've built up, and hopefully we can put it together from the start next year, I guess.
Yeah, it was a bit of an anticlimax, ending the year the way we did with.
Yeah, last game got called off.
But and the other side of that is we ended the year with a win
at home. Always helps.
At home, big crowd. I think the culture of the club was certainly, all the things we talk about was certainly on display. So it was a nice way to end the year, and we played well. We had a chance to really take our game plan on, and we'll go into next year with a lot of that in mind, I think. So, and you had a good game, mate, as you do. You're controlling that back line in the votes, as always.
No, well, we're getting a bit cold down there in the back line. They chucked me up forward just to get close and personal to watch you kick a bag of 8 snags, was it?
It actually was. They've stiffed me though, mate. They put 7 on the score sheet, and
I wasn't counting, but I trust you. You said 8, so I trust you. But
and I reckon that might have stiffed me for the goal kicking this year now, but we'll have to see. I think, but yeah.
I think you fair, as Bobby would say, you fair dinkum pulled them out of your rectum. Some of those goals, mate. There was one that I was right up and close to, and. You probably could have picked up and give me a little cheeky handball, but you went off the deck off the opposite side and put it through post high from the pocket. So, look, if you pull it off, you get to enjoy it. But if you had missed it, you might have got a little bit of a hey, please explain, little handball here, bud. I'm right here, but no, you kicked it. So fair play.
Well, mate, I think I think I had 4 to that point, so I was feeling pretty good about myself.
Yeah, you're up and about a little bit, yeah.
And I'm never going to kick that sort of goal again, mate. So,
nah.
I kicked two sockers off the ground at each end, and a few snaps in there too. I do enjoy a snap. I do love a good snap.
Yeah, you do like it.
Yeah, and it was against my old side too, so that probably played a part where I really wanted to.
You were pretty keen. You were pretty up for it.
That wasn't I. I was really
up. Yeah, you were pretty keen. Yeah. So it was enjoyable, mate. Like I only played the 4 games. Came in the season late, but
3 times in 4 games, just quietly. You're probably going to get some votes on Prezzo night, mate. Are you going Prezzo night, by the way? Are you going?
Oh yeah, I'm in. Yeah.
Cool. I've still got to book my ticket. I wanted to see if you were going, because otherwise.
No, 100%. I'm going, mate. Yeah. So fingers crossed, get through pre-season, and then I'll have one full season last hurrah. See if we can get something going and see if we can make finals.
Are you bringing the misso?
Hey,
You bringing the misso?
She's not really a footy person, mate. It'll all be wop, like it'll be
Not as a
peanuts,
goal, mate, but
wop 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 wop.
there's beer there, so
Yeah, it's true. It's true. She's a bit of a grandma, the old girl, so she'll probably be in bed before the show even starts. So
Well, can I come and get ready at your house?
yeah, pretty much. But the good thing is, like, she'll better pick us up when we're drunk, so it'll be
We
good.
can do each
So,
other's hair and everything, and
yeah. So she'll be on call. She'll be taxi, so it'll be all good.
all right. Well, let's get into it.
Easy. Let's get into it. All right. So how we?
Comments. So go.
Yeah, we got a lot to fit in. So let's get started. So the two, as we always do, we start with the big news of the week. So the two big things that have happened this week, last week when we missed the pod, was the retirement of Lance Buddy Franklin. Love him if you're on his team, and hate him if you're a Cats fan. But because he obviously played for our mortal enemy, the Hawks. But were you a bit sad when he retired? Were you disappointed with the way he went out? It was a bit of a non-affair, wasn't it? No bells and whistles. Just 1 minute he's here, 1 minute he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was going to battle anyway, even going that extra year.
He clearly wasn't going to play on next year. I'd never expected him to play next year, but it was just a shame that he didn't get a farewell game. Maybe he didn't want it. He was quite private, apparently, but so maybe he didn't want it.
He signed that contract to play on this year, the day or the grand final week before, if you remember 2022.
Oh, yeah, I remember it fondly, mate. Hello.
So he re-signed, and I think, there's two ways to approach that, obviously. I mean, he could have signed a 2-year deal to go elsewhere. There was obviously rumblings he might end up on the Gold Coast. He bought a place up here as well, was the rumblings.
Yeah.
I mean,
I never saw that happening either. It was this year, and that was it.
I would have thought, if, based on getting to a grand final, we saw it with Gaz a couple of years ago. That's the way to go out, and then you get to, we got to see off Gaz at the Gabba, which we were very lucky to do. To be there for that, which was a silver lining, really, that we got to see him in his last game.
Yeah.
And I think, for Buddy, I think, regardless of the result, I think he deserved to be in front of 50,000 Swan supporters, South Melbourne supporters at the G on the biggest day of the year. And I'm sure as a footy club, we would have done the same thing that Richmond did for us with Gaz, to see him off the right way. But he chose to go on, and one player doesn't make 22, mate. So
I guess he was running the risk of he could have had the fairy tale and walked away. But I guess in his mind and the Swans' mind, they thought, geez, we're really close. We just one more crack, and he probably thought the same because he never got the premiership. The Swans had a couple of premiership losses. I think did he lose 3 grand finals at the Swans?
It was 2013.
Hawthorn. He lost against Hawthorn.
It was 2014 for Sydney.
Yep.
And then, but he also lost a grand final for Hawthorn against the Swans in 2012.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, did he only make 2 grand finals with the Swans, or did he make 3? I think he made 2.
2016 against Footscray, when they got
up. Okay. Yeah. So he did make 3 with the Swans. So
it's a nice edge, mate. I mean, they in 2014 that Hawthorn side was unreal. 2016 the Doggies beat everybody.
Yeah, they came from the clouds.
Won the flag, and to be honest, I'm sure most of Australia was barracking for the Doggies because they became
100%. They were.
Yeah. And we've got a soft spot for the Doggies too, mate. Let's be honest, we do. We are Doggies boys. So, and I think they got to that grand final in 2022. So they probably thought, like you said, there's a chance we'll get this one. They didn't, and then there's another year to make up for it. And we've seen it with us too, like with the two sides in the grand final struggled this year. So
yeah, I mean, part of me is disappointed that for the theatre and the legend that he is in the game, automatic legend to the Hall of Fame and all that sort of stuff, that he didn't get that big send-off game in front of his fans at the SCG, or if they had announced that this was going to be his last one at the MCG. I guess they didn't want to make. He didn't want to make it about himself when the team was trying to make finals. But I think I don't think it would have just. I don't think it would have been this big distraction. I think they would have lifted. It would have been a night. Very rarely do the absolute legends of the game get sent off, like the right way. Sometimes, a lot of times, we don't send them off with the big fanfare. They just kind of ride off in the distance. But so part of me is disappointed for the game's sake that we didn't get to see the big buddy farewell and everyone get to just really revel in it. And then the other part of me is like, he has had a pretty fantastic career. He's had some big moments. And he's probably had more than most players' fair share of amazing moments. So, you know, he probably isn't going to worry. He's not going to have too many sleepless nights that he didn't get a send-off game. So, what about then, you know, the debate has been like, you know, because he got paid the $9 million to go to Sydney for the 10 years, got there in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And he played out his contract, which at the time a lot of people said he wasn't going to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there was a couple. He did play. He did play 2020.
He was injured a lot that year. Yeah.
He saw out. He played 9 years. He played his 9 years. Whatever way.
So is it success? It was worth every dollar they spent on it, or because he didn't get because they didn't get that, you know, icing on the cake, the grand final win. People will say, you know, well, it was a failure.
No, since he got there, they played in 3 grand finals, and a grand final is, you know, the better team on the day. It can be whatever you are during the year as well. We know. He got numbers through the gates. You know.
Yeah.
He you know, he was so good for Australian rules football in that market, which is a tough market, as we know. And even Buddy as a player, I think, you know, I mean, I loathe Hawthorn, but I love watching them play when they were that. You know, you knew what
he was hard to watch. He was hard to watch in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, he was so good. He was such a freak.
I think of Buddy, and a lot of people think of, you know, there's the Cal Hooker footage, you know, against Essendon where he kicked the instant replay twice, you know, down the
hurdle goal.
There's the one against Collingwood though, where I literally was watching it at a mate's place, and I just stood up and applauded. Where he, you know, they've gone the barrel down the ground. It's a skinny MCG, wet day and it's against Collingwood too. So of course it was good.
That makes it even better.
And the ball comes out. He gets the quick hands and it drops down. He jumps. The wherewithal to not only control the footy, know what's coming, and to leap like a gazelle, and then put it on the boot. So 2 kicks.
Yeah.
And they've scored.
Yeah.
I mean,
he could do some free things, and he's a big guy too. You know, like so he ran like a gazelle, but he was built like a giraffe. Like he was a huge. He should have been playing in the NBA. So, I mean, 6'2", 6'3",
5'6", 105, 10 kilos maybe.
Yeah, and just could put it on. He was never a really high contested mark kind of guy, but he could pick it up like a rover, and snap it from anywhere and do anything. He was a freak. I mean, he was an absolute freak, and he kicked 1,000 goals. He's you know, won the premierships with Hawthorn. He's automatic legend walk up.
That's the thing. He's probably the last of a generation of, you know, of those forwards who could do those freak things. So, you know, and I mean, obviously we talk about, there's obviously, you know, we know the order of the goal kicking. There's Coventry, there's Dunstall, Lockett, you know, not in that order. But he's in such a rare air where, you know, there'd be games of footy, and I'll speak to people, even up here, where Sydney would come up here, you know, or even during COVID, people would be going to watch Sydney, or when the hub was in Perth, to get a look at Buddy.
Yeah.
Because he just brought people through the gates.
Yeah.
He's in that respect, he's a bit like Gary Ablett Senior. It would just bring people through the gates. You know, you knew when Buddy was on. You know, not so much now, but you knew when Gazza was on. You probably remember this.
Yeah.
It'd be kicking to right of screen, in the first quarter, and then you'll wander down to the other side when he's ticking left screen in the second quarter, and you wander back down.
Especially at the old Kardinia Park where, you could get around a bit easier. But people would move from end to end. Yeah. Buddy brought him in. I didn't like. I heard something on the tweets came out and it was like became a story for a while there where the adjusted goals based on how hard it is to kick goals these days. They said that Buddy was the greatest goal kicker of all time. I didn't like that stat because on the other hand, it's easier to play for longer in this generation with all the sports medicine and all that sort of stuff and. So it was harder to play games. So there's no way he goes above Lockett for that. And it's also, think about the way you could defend back in the day, chopping the arms, smashing the back of the head, bashing guys in the ribs as they were going up for it. Like it was easier. It's easier to defend. It's easier to get a kick now as a forward than it is back in those days. You would think, right?
Yeah, of course. But Buddy, I think, and this is probably the way to finish it, is Buddy's just was in a league of his own.
Yeah.
And, we've had the privilege in the last sort of 15, 20 years, not to make us sound old, to watch pretty good footballers come through. The Ablets, the Judds.
Judd was a freak, yeah.
Buddy, the list goes on, mate. Pendlebury, Swan.
Yeah, Bont's the only player I can think of now that's like literally a class above. Moving on, because that was last week's news, and congratulations, buddy, on a fantastic career. As much as you,
get it, buddy. Yeah, go on, you buddy.
Yeah, as much as we had him as a Hawks player, we in awe of what he did. The other thing was talking about players that bring people through the gates or, they're a league in their own. This week's news is the injury to Josh Dacos, which we'll talk about in our preview for the game coming up. But
Nick
Dacos, sorry, not Josh. Big injury for the Pies.
You've actually remembered Josh because I feel sorry for that kid because he's such a good player and they're all go towards his brother. Like it's
overshadowed, isn't he? And you're like, geez. He's pretty good. He's getting overshadowed, and you think, geez, he's not bad himself. But, so the big news is, 6 weeks out, he might not, depending on, Bones, everyone's different with the way Bones heal. So the big news this week with our opponents this week, and the big news in the AFL, because it affects the Brownlow betting, it affects the Collingwood, the minor premiers, who are probably still going to win the minor premiership, but, because they're 2 games up. But, yeah, it's a big blow. They've basically lost their best player, who's been responsible for so much of their form for the year. What do you make of the injury? What do you make of the Pies now that he's out?
I think it's their test now. There's a stat there. They've dropped 2 games now. They dropped 1 to Carlton, and they dropped 1 to Hawthorn.
Yeah, the Carlton game's understandable because Carlton's flying. The Hawthorn game was a shock.
Yeah, but once again, mate, it's there's the time of the year where there's the teams that the teams in that top 4 can drop games. It's a long season, mate. It's a long, demanding season.
Yeah, I've heard people say that, real foot off the pedal sort of game where they just sort of, maybe didn't bring their best and Hawthorn brought theirs and you get caught on the hop and then you're playing catch up all day and you just can't flick the switch and come back. Like North Melbourne did to Melbourne, but Melbourne were able to, right the ship and actually make the comeback, whereas Collingwood weren't. So, it's a big test for them. I think most times you would say, one soldier out, one soldier in kind of thing. But I don't know if he's that. I don't know if that's the same mentality you have with him. He's another level above. He's genuinely a freak and their best player. So it's not like for like, just one in, one out. They're gonna have to find a new way to play. They're gonna have to find a new person to. I don't know. Can someone else play that role? Can his brother go and play that role? Can Pendlebury play that role? I don't know.
Yeah, look, the team's not about one player. Collingwood have got a very, very good side.
Yeah, good team.
And, but it'll just be the test for them is going to be how to adapt with a bloke who gets the pill 30 times a day, not on the ground. So I think they've got the coverage across probably 2 or 3 players there to do it. It might be, Jeremy Howe gets a lot of ball in that back line. De Goey is going to get it probably further going forward. And you can put Pennybury anywhere on the ground. He's going to do a job for you. So
they definitely have to spin the magnets. It's just whether they can find the right mix straight away or whether they, it takes a few weeks to work out the right mix. But I wouldn't be right. Everyone's sort of, talking doom and gloom like they're gone now because they've lost, Dacos, but they're far from gone.
No, it's a big part of their structure, but good teams can cover that. Good teams will find a way to cover that. So, it won't be. I know we just mentioned it might be 2 or 3 have to step up. There's got to be 22 that are going to have to step up, or 23 that are going to have to step up to.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, they can't replace him. Just put a player in his position or do his job. So the whole team's going to have to lift and to cover that role. They're going to have to find 30 between. Like you said, rather than one guy coming in and finding 30, they're going to have to 3 blokes are going to have to find 30 between them.
We're going to learn something about Collingwood over
the load.
So, we, there was a stat I read during the week where no team who has lost within the last 7 games to the grand final have won the flag.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we went 16 wins on the trot last year, which was a story, wasn't it? So
that was the big story.
But I think, again, the competition is just so tight.
It's crazy. I can't remember a year like it. There's literally 14. It's normally there's 9 or 10. Well, there's normally like a breakaway 4. Then there's the other teams. 5 teams that are fighting for the top 8 spot. The bottom 4 spots in the top 8. And then there's a sharp drop off after those 10 teams. There's genuinely 14 good teams in it this year.
Yeah.
If you go down as far as Gold Coast is playing some good footy and have played some good footy. It's a crazy season. I can't remember so many teams being able to beat so many other teams. There's normally a really big gulf, and then the other teams fighting it out. But everyone's beating everyone this year. It's a tipster's nightmare.
It is. That's why I don't tip,
mate. I had a 7 this week, and I thought I was going pretty well. That's about the best I've done all year. It's been a tough year to tip. It feels like another round like this week where it feels like there could be anything could happen. There's a few. I looked at them. You're thinking on paper, yes, but none of them feel like gimmies. Even the Adelaide-Brisbane game at the Gabba, that doesn't feel like a gimme. Adelaide on their day can beat them, but on paper you go Brisbane home, they win that. You think Melbourne, Carlton's the flip of a coin game, but there's so many games where you think it's 70-30, 60-40, but you can't really be 100%. So yeah, it's going to be a massive round where the ladder ends up after that. All right, so let's get into, because we got 2 games to talk about. So let's talk about the Fremantle game. We played Fremantle down at home Saturday afternoon, the old Saturday afternoon slot. GMHBA. And unfortunately, we went down in a pretty poor game from us to the Dockers. What'd you make of the game?
Yeah, it was tough. Freo they're just a bogey side.
Especially down there for some reason. I don't know what it is about them playing us at GMHBA, but they seem to be able to get it done.
They've done it to us so many times,
Oh, yeah.
It's they've done it to us so many times where they've just come down and they've ran over us, in that last part of the game. So it was pretty frustrating to see it. But we made so many mistakes though as well that.
We were poor. Yeah, I thought we were sloppy again. We carried that over from the Brisbane game. I thought we were poor with our disposal. Again, the worrying sign of getting beaten up around the ball by you can understand it against Brisbane. I think they're a pretty solid midfield. There's some good players in the Fremantle midfield, but not enough to be smashing us around the ball like they did. Yeah, it was just a very, very frustrating game. We were slow with our ball movement. Um, we just played this boring sort of down the line footy. Had no real run, no real overlap, no connection. It was just really stodgy and frustrating to watch. When we're at home, we should be being on the front foot. I just felt that we were on the back foot, and the go slow game plan was almost back from a couple of years ago. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you picked that up, but
we came out in the first quarter and kept them goalless, and then they put 5 on us in that second quarter.
yeah, there was a big difference with the wind too. Like I know that was a factor on the commentary about the wind and the one end being the scoring end and the other end being not the scoring end. But so that was a factor for it.
That second quarter was the story, because if we'd held them in that second quarter, we probably would have gone on to win the game, but we didn't. So, and I just think that there were just so many uncharacteristic things that we saw from the Cats. So Tommy Stewart was probably our worst player.
Yeah, three direct turnovers. Yeah, Stanley gave a couple of absolute gifts over. There were some pretty poor turnovers he gave.
2 injuries, in there as well at different points of the game, and then the fact that Gazza's kicked 1-5, he kicks 2-3, or even just one, another couple of goals there, and then
they were shots he should have made too. That he's traditionally been very good at around the corner, those snapshots, but he's really off the boil at the moment. He's not the dart anymore. If he's a dart missing the feathers at the end, mate. It's just flying all over the place. He's just not got his sharpshooting boots on. In contrast, I actually went back and watched because it was just so frustrating to watch, and I wanted to compare it to the 2022 Cats and also the round one Cats. So I went back and watched the round one game against Collingwood, our opponents this week.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we went down in that game, we were actually up in all 3 quarters against Collingwood that day, and they overran us in the end to get us by a couple of goals. I think it wasn't much, but the contrast in the way we played footy round one to the way we played against Fremantle is just absolute chalk and cheese. That the round one game we were kicking the ball quickly to a contest, getting numbers around the ball, winning it at the source. If we were going down the line, it was the kick down the line and then a short 45 inboard, runners banging it into our forward line. It was quick, dynamic footy. The way we played against Freo, I don't know what. It'd be interesting to be at the game and see the behind the goals and see what Freo was doing. But yeah, we didn't. It was like we were the visiting team at our own home ground. Like we just did not play the ground well. We got boxed in down the wings, like most teams do when they come to play us. It was just a strange game. And like you said, the mistakes that people were making that they wouldn't normally make was, just really uncharacteristic. And it was just an absolute write-off of a game, really.
Yeah, I mean, and credit to Freo, though, mate. It's a tough place to come, and they got the chance. We didn't deserve to win. We didn't.
No. And you really thought we were going to win too. We kicked the first 2 goals of the fourth quarter because it was tight. I think it was 1 point down at 3/4 time, and we kicked the first 2 goals of the fourth quarter. And you're thinking, okay, here we go. All right, put the game to rest. Put the pedal on the metal, and let's go. Let's get it out. We haven't played well, but we're going to get away with a win here. And then we just stopped again. Like we kicked the first 2, and we just went backwards again. Yeah, but on the flip side, if we talk about the preview from last week and the Port Adelaide game, if you had asked me before the Freo game, win the Freo game, we probably would have tipped that we were going to lose the Port Adelaide game, and we would have taken that because we would have gone, yep, that we expected to beat Fremantle. We thought the Port Adelaide game was going to be the tough one, and then we've ended up losing the Freo game and winning the Port game.
Mm-hmm.
Just so who knows what we're doing this year? We're just a very hard team to read. So park the Freo game, like we said, frustrating, just slow, and just not the way we want to be, not the game plan that we expect from us. especially the 22 version of us. But what do you make of the Port Adelaide game?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a much, much, much better game from a few players too. So I want to go into just a couple of stats here that probably made all the difference. So I'm going to pick out Myers, Stewart, and Dangerfield because I just think that this year they've probably been our most prolific players. Especially Myers, he's playing that Ablett Junior role really well. Where
He's on fire. He's
yeah,
the best year he's ever had. One of the best games he's ever had. Like kicked two goals, 5 assists. He was 20 plus possessions. He was everywhere.
yeah, 24 touches, 20 of those being kicks and 4 being handballs. So that just shows you how effective he's been with the pill. So and then Tommy Stewart with 19 kicks, 7.
Stewie was big.
Dangerfield only had 13 touches last week against Freo, and he had 20 with limited game time too. So he's only on the ground with 6-7% of the time. So
he was quiet first 3 quarters, and he had a big last quarter. He really got the team on his back.
Same with Tommy Atkins too. Tommy Atkins is up there as well.
Yeah, he lifted the last quarter. I actually
casual 7 tackles, no big deal from Tommy. Yeah,
yeah, that's what you expect from him. Yeah, he's a bull. Ollie was great. I thought we needed a target with Tommy Hawkins out. He was big. Like you said, Brian Myers was big. I thought Bowes was fantastic as well. He's really growing on me as a player, Jack Bowes.
Yeah.
Like we talked about him probably 6 weeks ago when we started this pod about we didn't really see where his value was to the team. We knew he was versatile and we knew that he could play in a few different positions, but we weren't really seeing the love that the coaching staff have for him. We're inside the 4 walls, so from the outside looking in, we just couldn't see it. He was fantastic on Saturday night. Like he was great. He kicked a goal. He gave us run off half back. Used the ball well. I think he made some good tackles as well. So, and he didn't get. I don't think he got a goal kicked on him, to be honest. So
no. Well, there's the goal.
Very
there's
good.
the goal he got pressed in the 3rd quarter against Port, which I want to highlight here as well. I believe it was the 9th minute into the 3rd quarter, and we hadn't scored for basically a quarter for half an hour. It gets the footy off halfback, basically creates a contest, and it was where we
keeps tracking forward.
We changed our game plan a bit where we went with the quick handball and we managed to slice Port open. But Bowes literally is gut running from halfback, first to be in the first contest to get the ball out, and then to gut run and just to basically just trot into the 50, be 50 metres on his own for that dangerous kick coming infield.
Yeah, Danger won the pill. Hard over the footy, centred it to about the 50. Bowes is all open, kicks the goal. That was a massive goal.
Yourself, mate, playing off halfback, you can get a contest and you can just ball watch and you can watch it go up the.
Yeah, job's done. Yeah, kick it forward and go. Yeah, that's me done. But he kept his head in the game. And tracked forward.
I think with the injuries we've had, the silver lining of the injuries we've had is that we've actually had a chance to really see what this kid can bring to the side. And people forget that he was an 86 game player for the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah.
So he's footy hardened. So, and I just think if the form that he's finding at the moment, I tell you what, if he can keep a spot this week against the Pies and put in a good shift against them, I tell you what, he's going to be hard to get out of the side, even with the names that are coming back in. So,
I agree. I think
he's on you, mate. We like to see it,
Yeah.
And
he's playing some good footy. He's definitely playing the best footy he's played since he's come to the club, and he's playing one of the best players in the team now. I think he's been in our best 10 players easily in the last month. So yeah, he's playing some good footy. Another player, give a big shout out that gets maligned a little bit was Sav. I thought he had a good game as well down back. And a little bit different from him, which I liked, was his run off the back line too. He's normally just the down the line interceptor. But there was a few times where he spoiled, second efforts got up, got the pill, and was able to create some run off halfback, which is something we haven't really seen from Sav. And yeah, you can see why the clubs are into him. I personally don't think we'll keep him, but yeah, he's growing. He's growing. I mean, he's still his first year as this backline role, and it was one of his better games for the year, I thought.
Yeah, no, I've always been pretty highly behind Sav because for a guy his size, he does things that physically you wouldn't think he'd be able to do. So we've tried him as a forward. There was that goal that he kicked where he crumbed it and spun around on his right and put it through, which, you probably the only other big similar sized player you'd see would be Buddy, as we just talked about.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of an experiment because he hadn't played a lot of footy coming into the system. But I really liked how the message would have surely been get the ball and get it forward, get moving forward, split them open. So, he was in there, he was contesting, he was marking the footy, which he's been maligned for when we tried to play him as a forward. He would leap, just wouldn't quite pluck it.
He just never seemed, as a forward, it's strange because he never seemed to be able to read the flight of the ball very well. I always felt like his leap at the ball was never quite right. There was a lot of times down the line he'd get up for a mark and he just never had the sticky hands as a forward. Maybe having a forward lead him to the ball and just helping him be in the right spot and just beating his opponent one-on-one as a backman seems to work for him a lot more because he does have sticky hands as a back, but he never had sticky hands as a forward. It's a strange one.
I think it's a different kind of pressure. So, because obviously when you're playing as a forward, you 9 times out of 10 you're trying to get yourself one out to beat your man and get control of the footy. And all you're thinking about is you're not thinking about spoiling. You're thinking about trying to mark the footy. You're thinking about just trying to either mark it or bring it to ground and create a contest to score. When you're playing as a defender, as well, and also too as a forward, the pressure of even taking the mark, that the job's not done. You've then got to go away and you've got to go back and kick the goal. That's the other part of it too. So psychologically, you can be thinking certainly, okay, I'm a good chance to mark this, but I've got to convert. I'm sure that plays a part. Whereas playing as a defender, it's a lot easier to hit a target that's a player than it is to hit a target that's the goal. Because you can put the ball out in front of a player and make it look like $1 million kick, even if it's not a great kick. So, and you've got a lot more options in front of you than just trying to aim for the goals. As a forward.
I think the thing is a back too. If a win is just making sure your opponent doesn't mark it.
Exactly.
So he's got the option to mark it if he's in the best position, and he did do that. I think he had 5 intercept marks, but he also knows that as a backman, the pressure's off him a little bit because if he can't mark it, he's just got to make sure his player doesn't mark it. So he's got the option to spoil. You don't have the option to spoil when you're a forward. You're always trying to mark it.
Yeah.
I mean, they always tell you to bring the ball to ground, but he didn't. I don't think he brought the ball to ground enough times as a forward. He would sometimes get beaten by his opponent. So no, big game from Sav. I thought he was really good. I thought I liked the way. I think you got to go down swinging with what you know. And it seemed to be clear at 3/4 time, watching from the outside, that we went back to that kick to contest, get numbers around the ball, and then get it forward quickly. Like we moved the ball much better in that 4th quarter than we have for a few weeks. Brisbane, we were stodgy and couldn't move the ball. Fremantle, we couldn't move the ball. We moved it, or we did all right for the first couple of that first quarter, I thought we played some fantastic footy. And if we weren't playing a really good Port Adelaide team, we probably would have been 10 goals up against any other mob.
Yeah,
I thought we played some really good footy that first quarter. Both teams did, really. That's the best we've looked in a long time, other than maybe the Essendon game where we thought we were back, but that was a bit of a flash in the pan. So hopefully we can take that to Collingwood this week and stick with that ball movement and really just challenge them and take them on and play a quick game. And if you're going to go down, because Collingwood's a good team. But if you're going to go down, you might as well go down swinging. You might as well go down playing quick footy.
Of course, no, I completely agree, and like we said, it's there's games that we're going to drop, and there's games that we thought we were going to win. But this whole year's been like that. You look at your tips and things too. So, but it's just it's the way you turn up on the day. So, I just think that we had the game on our terms, and then we just kept, obviously, Port just kept coming, and then I think it was a good result for us in the sense of it was the way we were able to react, where we came out in that fourth quarter and we were able to really win a close game. I think certainly you want to play those sort of games in a row. So we've played a really good side in Port, and we're going to come up against the Pies this week. So it's a good test to have that game the week before and try and carry a lot of that into how we want to play against the Pies this week. So yeah.
The only thing I will say about the Port game, and we played much better than the previous 2 weeks. We did show some glimpses that we're back, but you got to take that with a grain of salt because Port was missing 6 of their best, and we did only just get over the top of them at home. So, when you read it on paper that we beat Port, and Port's been obviously flying this year, you think on paper that looks great, but when you drill down a little bit. They were missing some big outs.
But
I mean, you can only beat who's in front of you. But I mean, missing Lyset. They had Aaliyah missing.
I've heard this argument all year. I've heard it made from Kane Corns. But how many have we had out all year?
Yeah, exactly, and people have been making excuses for us all year that when they get their players back, they'll be back. So. You got to give Port the same excuse as well. You got to say, yeah, they were undermanned, and yes, we take the win. And like you said, we expected to beat Freo, didn't expect to beat Port. It flipped it round, but
it's funny how
I want to see us repeat that against Collingwood this week. I don't want it to be. I wouldn't. What I'm saying is, I'm not getting too pumped up by the win. I'm glad we won, but I'm not getting too pumped up by the win, thinking we're on Collingwood's level yet. Because
no, but it's just the narrative goes: if Port had done us in that game, then it would be, Porter stamping their credentials, over there'd be no mention of the fact that they had 9 or 10 out.
I think they would have. I think they would have been. I think it would have been even a better win if they say we won down here at Geelong with 6 of our best players out. I think that would have been even bigger win than a normal win. If they had a full team in, people would have just gone, yeah, well, we expected you to win because you're second on the table and you're playing Geelong, who's 9th. So
Adelaide, maybe in the Adelaide newspapers, mate.
Maybe. Oh, look, I'm just saying. I thought we looked better, but I also, realised that Port were missing some big players. I know we were missing Blitz and Hawk as well, so they're big outs for us as well. So
yeah.
It doesn't mean we're completely back, and it feels like that. It's a weird season because it feels like that. You look at the percentage. Most people like to look at percentage as a way of measuring how teams are going for the year. Like some teams can inflate their win-less record, and you look at their percentage, and it's quite low. I think we've got the 4th or 5th best percentage in the league. Now we didn't really smash West Coast as many teams smashed West Coast.
No.
I think we won by a good amount, but wasn't as big as some other teams have smashed. And we had a really big win against Essendon. But the games that we've lost, we haven't, even though they've been disappointing losses, they haven't been bad losses. And our percentage would say that. It just feels like the whole year with the Cats this year, we've just been that 10% off all year. And in this league, 10% means you get knocked off.
Mm-hmm.
There's just been a couple of maybe games that you turn that draw against Sydney, which we played terrible. Some games where we probably didn't expect to lose. You win those. We're not talking about making the 8. We're well and truly in the 8. So.
Could be the telling one because if we'd won that game against Sydney, we'd be sitting 6th at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's been one of those seasons really. But let's get on to the preview. So we got Collingwood this week. And how do you see the game going? What are you expecting from the weekend?
I think
First of all, who do you expect to come in for? Because we've obviously got the big injury news, which is this week. We've got Jack Henry is injured with the Liz Frank injury, so he's going to be out for foreseeable rest of the year probably.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you see coming in for him?
Yeah, I'd expect to see. Definitely see Hawk get. I think he's up and about. Apparently he's trained well. But I think Buse, if he's fit, will come in. He may end up going to the bench as the medical sub or the tactical sub.
I always think we're a better team with Buse in it. I think he creates a lot of run off half back. I think he's one of our most important players, an unsung player for us. I think he's one of our better players.
Yeah, no, I've always rated Busey. So I think he's probably the most likely to come in. Because obviously Guth's still away. Gus still a while away. But he's obviously he's hopefully coming through the other side as well. I think the players to come in would probably be Busey, Hawkins, and then obviously Rowland to come in as well. He was a late out last.
Yeah, do you think are they talking Hawk as a chance of getting up?
Yeah, they're saying that he needs to complete main training today. So if we see him get named, when the teams come out, which would be the teams will be out tomorrow, 6 p.m. So if he's named, I'd say he'll play. I don't think there'll be a late change there. If he's named, he'll play, in my opinion. I think we certainly have. There's players to come back in. Hey, you never know. Sam Menegola might get a call up as well. Getting a defender in too, and that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, in my opinion. He's having some good form down at VFL level, and I think I wouldn't be surprised to see his name on the team sheet tomorrow, because we do love a surprise, us Catos, when it comes to naming the team.
Yeah, and maybe someone that can also play a little bit in the midfield as well. Maybe gives that extra rotation through there. Parfitt came on as a sub against Port Adelaide, and I don't think he didn't really do much. So which is a bit of a shame. I've always been a Parfitt fan. He's always been a good tackler. He gets himself about. He's been a pretty handy player for us, but for whatever reason, he's just sort of not really been on for the last, end of last year into this year. So that was a bit of a shame. But so he might get another chance. He might, because he was the sub. Maybe he gets in the starting lineup, but like I said, didn't really set the world on fire. So I don't really see him taking the spot. So maybe Menegola. We're back at the G. Maybe it sparks us. Like I said, Collingwood are there for the getting. You think maybe with the problems with Dacos and how they get their balance. So you don't want to be mucking around with your team balance and your cohesion now at this time of year. You want to be hitting the runway and really taking off. So look, it's going to be a big game. Basically, I think if we win this game, I think we're guaranteed finals. Put it that way. If we don't, it makes the last two games. Nail biters, because we've got St Kilda, who we got a chance. You'd say we've got maybe favourites in that one, and then the big game, the last one, is at GMHBA against the Western Bulldogs, but they're going to be playing for their finals future as well.
It's so tight, because really, I mean, this will be depending on the results too, but if we get above Collingwood and then pending other results, we literally will probably play the two teams that are going to sit either below us or above us. With obviously, Sydney being the other side that's lurking behind us. So on the same points. So yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think we needed to win probably. I think you said last time we need to win probably 3 out of the 5 games to be a chance, even with results going our way, to get there. And I think that it's going to be one of two things. Collingwood are going to come out absolutely flying on the back of this, and that's the way it's going to go. Or Geelong will come out and outplay them. I guarantee there'll be more than a few teams that were looking at the way that Hawthorn played on the weekend, and even Carl's before, and going, how can we take from this and mix it in with our game plan?
I still have no doubts that when we're really on,
I agree.
we're on.
Yeah,
we're on. But we just haven't been too many times this year. Just haven't found our on. Like it just feels like we just haven't really clicked all year. And there's a lot of reasons for that. It just feels like a so near, so far kind of season. It just feels like a so close, kind of season, but not really our go. But that doesn't mean we can't knock the Pies off this week. So
No.
fingers crossed. It's a massive game. It's a big round. There's a couple of big games this week, and they're all shaping the finals. So it's going to be a huge round. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get up at the G and we jump back into that top eight, and keep rolling on.
Yep. Would like to see it, and would like to beat Collingwood. End of.
100%. It's always nice to knock them off. All right, dude. Well, there you go. So, as we always do, mate, we always try to finish our preview with a bit of the Cats get the the Cats get the cream. Now we'll try to keep it to the hour mark, so we got a little bit of time, but
yeah, well, it's standard.
We are squeezing 2 into 1. And so, what's the cream? Ooh yeah. What's the cream on top for the Cats besides the win?
Jesuit 5. Big game with the Jet.
Jesuit the G, fire up.
He's been quiet, and he's done it before in games against the Pies where he's come out and just fucking blitzed them. So for him to get early, maybe get 2 on the board early, and then, okay.
Big game, Jezza. Let's see. Yeah, I'd love to see a big game.
And for Hawkins to come back in as well and make an impact and not get injured, that's for mine. For me, would be the cream that raises to the crop. Yeah.
Yeah, the cream of the crop for me. I think I just want to see us die by the sword. I just want to see the cream.
The positive is that we die. Excellent.
No. I just want to see us going down. I don't want to see a down the line boring game like we play against Freo. I just want to see us play. Just play. Like really, like there's nothing to lose. Who cares if we don't win, we don't win. But I think we've just got to go out and play our brand of football because we need the St Kilda match and the Western Bulldogs match.
I don't play that way though with the G because you can't. Not against Collingwood. We play that way sometimes at Cardinia Park because of the size of the ground, and we play the ground really well. But I think you're right though. What you're saying is you just can't play that way against Collingwood. You can't play that slow.
No. Well, the stat about Collingwood is the teams that get it into their own forward half and then trap that ball in there. That's how you get Collingwood. You get it. You play a forward half game against Collingwood. That puts them on the back foot. If they get it in there, if they play forward half footy, they'll just carve you up. So, and they'll just set back and they got the interceptors to do it. So we got to match them and we got to trap it in and play that forward half footy that we know we can play and it's harder to do with the G than it is at home, but I'd love to see us just play our brand. I just don't think we've played our brand enough this year. And if we go down if we lose, that's fine. But if we go down losing, playing our brand, that's what I want to see. So let's just have a red hot swing at them. Hey, like I'm not even worried about the win or loss. It's just about playing our type of footy. Too tired of seeing us just play boring footy this year, which is not what we expect.
I don't think we're going to roll over and play dead. I think we have to show.
We're going to come out. I have full faith that we're going to come out swinging. So I'm looking forward to the game. All right, so there you go. That was the preview. We'll finish off quick because I think I'm about to die soon on this on my pod. So we'll finish off something random. We always try to finish off something random. We've got a couple of minutes to go. I had to think. I was listening. We were talking about Buddy earlier on, and I was listening to all the commentators that were calling all his big memorable moments, and I thought, after hearing them all, I was like, we should talk about random. Your top 3 footy commentators all time.
All time. And your order?
Mike is my top one. I reckon you're going to go, really? So, do you want me to go with mine first, and then you can have time to think, because I did throw this at you late.
Dude, I know mine, so yeah.
Oh, you know yours? All right, well, okay. Do you want to go reverse order, or you want to go 1, 2, 3? You want to go 3?
No particular order with these 3.
Oh, I've got order.
Hey, my opinion would be these 3, on a Friday night or Saturday afternoon footy commentating, and I'm going to go.
Right, it's a 3-man booth. All right,
No
okay.
order here.
I ordered them, but yeah, you can go no order. Go on.
Can we also throw in a Can we throw in a wild card there too? Can I throw in a wild card?
Oh god, yeah, you can do whatever you want, mate. It's your pod.
Your top 3 commentators.
Yeah.
And your favourite boundary rider.
Oh yeah, I thought about that. I was like, yeah, okay. Who do you go to? Okay, cool. All right,
so we start with the boundary rider.
Well, there's only one, isn't there? I mean, it's...
All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go 3, 2, 1, and we'll say it at the same time, and then we'll have a discussion. So 3, 2, 1, Dipper.
Yeah, it's like there's only one, mate. We all grew up with Dipper. Like there's only one.
I met Dipper at the Oval when I was living in the UK. They had the exhibition game, and he was boundary microphone in one hand, meat pie in the other, and he was so lovely.
What a man. No, he's a good bloke, Dipper. I've met Dipper before.
Yeah, he's a good bloke.
Because he used to do games up here at the Gabba.
Yeah.
And my favourite Dipper moment was the game where he's sitting next to Wally Lewis at the Gabba, and Michael Voss just absolutely lays out one of the players with a massive hip and shoulder when you could actually do that. And it was right in front of Dipper and Wally Lewis. And even Wally went, oh, like smashed. You know, like it's such a great moment. No, they were in the middle of doing an interview together, like, oh, how you going, Wally? Yeah, good going. Oh, and he just got hammered. It's such a good highlight.
Alan Richardson, actually, when he was playing for Collingwood.
That's the one. I think it is. I think it's Alan Richardson. Yeah. Yeah, he just oh man, one of the biggest. It just absolutely floors him. All right, so okay, go your top 3 then.
All right, top 3. Sandy Roberts.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
No, you didn't have Sandy.
No, good. No. I'll tell you my list.
Sandy, Dennis and Bruce.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I've got one of those 3.
And I may have forgotten a couple, but I might have a couple.
I've got 2 of those 3, I should say. I've got 2 of those 3.
Wait, so Sandy, Dennis, Bruce.
This is going to be controversial, but I thought about this. So my number 3 is Dennis Committee.
I've got no particular order, so I'm not biased like you. So
yeah, no. I thought about it. So number 3 is Dennis Committee. Number 2, sorry, you get it, and this might raise an eyebrow. Dwayne Russell.
Yeah, not a fan of Dwayne Russell, but that's okay. Sure.
I love him. Sunday afternoon, he's the king of Sunday afternoons. He loves it, and he's a Cats man. And then number 1, I went with Sandy Roberts. Number 1.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah,
my top
had a few calls together too. So
Bruce was 4.
Yeah, okay.
Bruce, you can take or leave Bruce sometimes. Like in his prime, maybe, but he got a bit towards the end. I can't stand. Bruce BT drives me nuts.
Bruce and Dennis were some of the moments that they had. Like you couldn't have one without the other.
Yeah. Sandy was the voice of football for me when I was a kid.
Speaking of the voice of footy, mate, we'll see how this goes. But there's always this bloke here as well. I might have said this goes here for a second. So you can't forget about this bloke, mate, when you're talking about good commentators in the footy.
I thought about him, but I reckon if you're a Melbourne person, I reckon Rex probably gets in. But as a Queenslander, we didn't get to listen to a lot of Rex because
I was down in
he was on the radio a lot.
No, I was down in Vic when. I mean, here's another one here for you, mate. Be Rex Hunt and Drew Morfitt.
Yeah,
doing the commentary.
Yeah. He was the voice of footy for me.
And they were fantastic together. So
if you don't want to know the score, look away now.
Yeah, you've also got Bruce with delicious.
Yeah.
And then Rex Hunt with that was, that my auntie Eileen, who you've met, and all the rest of it. She'll still be yelling Yablet, when
Sandy was always, what more can you say?
Yeah, well, that's Sandy Roberts, mate, brilliant. Dennis Committee, my favourite.
Like a cork in the ocean.
Love 2 Dennis Committee quotes that I love. One was a Geelong one, and this is probably the story of our season. and it was you can hear it in his voice. It'd be Ablett to Bartel to Corey. The Cats are attacking alphabetically here.
That's so good.
Oh, yeah.
That's so good. You know, he's just waiting. You know, he had that lined up and he was just waiting for that combination. Or we may have dropped out. All right, well, I think I'm still recording, so CJ says technical difficulties. We'll say thank you for watching the pod. Like I said, we're still mucking around with this and having a bit of fun. Hopefully, we'll get this all geared up and ready for the start of the season for 2023. But be kind to us. Give us a like if you're listening and you're liking what we're doing. We'll put this up on the Cats forums, and then we'll see you all next week for another episode of the greatest pod of all. Peace, guys. See you soon.